Diva, you are shouting.
It's a new quarter on Amagate Radio Communications, and our theme is Geopolitical Musings for Global Leaders. And I remain your anchor, yours truly, yours sincerely, yours objectively, Abiodun Abari. I'm so glad to have you join me. Welcome, everyone, as it promises to be an impactful and transformational ride as we journey through the world of geopolitics this quarter. Quite a lot of water passed under the bridge last quarters, while we'll delve into the optimizing opportunities in the Ethiopian banking sector. And of course, you can always count on us to give you the right analysis. I'll tell you the color of the complexion of the water that's passed under the bridge at any point in time, and so that you can be able to make informed cross-border decisions to optimize your organizational resources and ensure that you're always ahead of competition and able to navigate those cause waters that actually impede supply chain systems and what have you. So you talk about the back and forth in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the 12-day Israeli-Iran war, the United States escalation to the escalate, and the ensuing ceasefire, and of course the Congo DR Rwanda peace deal is something of note too. At the BRICS summit in Brazil, and the President Xi's absence, even though Putin too was absent, but he joined via a video link, and his own absence was somewhat understandable, since there's still this existing warrant for his arrest issued by the International Criminal Court, and of course Brazil, like South Africa, is signatory to the ICC. So I think playing safe. And talking of Donald Trump's sharing the spotlight with Chelsea Football Club of England, a club World Cup's winning team over the weekend too. So, and of course that's showing that the nation's chief executive is right behind the football projects of FIFA coming up, the 2026 World Cup, to be co-hosted by Mexico, Canada, and United States, and of course talking about the 2028 Los Angeles Summer Olympics, so coming up, and Donald Trump wants to be front and center of these events, and that will actually, I think that should boost revenues, that should boost the numbers for the events, and it will be a win-win for investors and sports sponsors. Okay, talking of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, okay, you look at the dynamics, you look at why it's the war seems unstoppable. I mean, seems stubborn. Stopping, like what we have in the Middle East, where we have a ceasefire. Okay, and factors like the disposition of France, Germany, and United Kingdom. Okay, are they really deploying resources to achieve peace, Russia and Ukraine? All right, and they also look at Russia still having funding, okay, selling its oil, getting funding, and having that military advantage. So there is that incentive to continue to war. All right, and I speak about Europe's reality, that it is Europe that must live with Russia, and Europe must accept that Russia is a superpower. Europe must accept that Russia has come to stay. Russia has been strong for a long time. Russia resisted Napoleon. Russia resisted Hitler. Russia lost over 26 million people in the Second World War. I mean, so their experiences as a people are such that they can band it together when faced with adversity, and they are not a nation to be just glossed over. So Europe must come to this reality and learn to live with Russia peacefully. That's what I believe. And talking about Russia's military might, when it comes to the Arctic Circle, Russia is a superpower, and you see Donald Trump trying to get Greenland in order to start narrowing that edge. But it's Russia that has the nuclear icebreaker. I mean, for God's sake, I mean that's a reality, and also their development of a hypersonic system, it's well more advanced than that of the United States. So talking about that, talking about the balance of power, Russia is not a nation to be tied with, and so I believe that Europe itself must come to that reality, and France, Germany, and the United Kingdom must really come to the table and try to deploy resources for peace. Okay, yes, I understand that. Yes, the dynamics that we have now are such that there is the need to disincentivize Russia going to wanting to explore the military option, okay, and trying to use peace through strength, and even extreme sanctions as proposed by Donald Trump, and trying to impose 500% tariffs on Russia if it doesn't try to get a ceasefire within a specified time limit. I mean, that excessive tariffing might just be necessary to escalate, to de-escalate, just like they did with China and the trade war, getting up to like 125% tariff before China reciprocated, and since prevailed. Both parties came to the table, and right now they have an agreement. Okay, and so talking about also another factor that I think is accounts for the Russia-Ukraine war to be somehow intractable is the Middle East situation. There has been somewhat a diversion of resources, attention, diplomatic machinery towards Middle East. Talking about Israel's war with Iran and Iranian progress to the region. So, but I believe that there should be reinforcement of diplomatic efforts to ensure that the Russia-Ukraine war comes to an end and the bloodletting is stopped. And of course, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom have a very, very important role to play in ensuring this, in as much as the United States is playing a major role, okay, for there to be peace, enduring peace. Okay, France, Germany, and United Kingdom must really and genuinely desire the peace. Talking about the Israel-Iran war, Israel saw the situation as existential, that Iran was racing to get a nuclear weapon, and that's it's essential to Israel because Iranian leaders chant death to Israel, death to America, and they believe that if they have their hands on the nuclear weapon, that they are going to use it on Israel. That's not just going to be deterrent, that they're going to use it. They don't mind Iran being wiped off the map, but they just want Israel to go. And of of course, the Israeli attack was sanctioned by the United States, right? And you must understand the split and the MAGA base of President Trump, that's the Make America Great Again base, and you have the Steve Bannons, the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, the Marjorie Taylor Greens of this one, and they believe that America First policy, that Israel foreign policy, should be different from America's foreign policy, and is not in America's interests to attack Iran. That attacking Fordo specifically is an act of war, and bombing Iran is an act of war, declaration of war, and they ran and campaigned on not starting new wars. Okay, that bombing Iran would actually be actually reneging on that promise. Okay, and Trump's argument was, okay, is there any agreement on Iran should not have a nuclear weapon? And all sides agree that yes, they believe that they agree that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. And you know that that was a 60-day window. President Trump get Iran to come to the table and negotiate a deal. Okay, but as time went on, officials in Washington felt Iran was just playing for time and racing towards enrichment. Arbitrary confirmed that Iran had reached 60% enrichment, and there were questions to the motive. Okay, because it just in about 3.5% to 5% for civilian purposes. So if you're having 60% and you're just racing towards enrichment, I mean, widely, especially during the time negotiations were ongoing. I mean, that speaks volumes of intentions, and I think that was why Israel acted and United States sanctioned the attack. And of course, for the mountains, okay, the fortification on the ground, Israel needed the help of the United States with the massive ordnance penetrators, which it was one of the B-2 bombers could carry the bunker busting bombs. Okay, and of course, that yes, this personnel have been devoted, to this operation, practicing, rehearsing for this operation, for simulating, for over a decade, since of years, and just to see they had the opportunity to put to practice what they learned, and the decisive operation was delivered with military precision. Okay, so you had the B-2 stealth bombers, delivering the massive ordnance penetrators, and you also had the submarines firing the Tomahawk missiles in support. So, and of course, the nuclear bases of Isfahan, Nathan, and Fordo were actually destroyed. Okay, setting back the Iranian nuclear program. This for some considerable time. Okay. And we want to look at factors that actually account for the outcomes that we had as regards the 12-day war between Israel and Iran, which had devastation on both sides, bloodletting, and of course huge destruction to infrastructure, property, right, and also military installations, military assets, okay, and nuclear assets too. First, we talk about the decimation of Iranian proxies. We reckon that Iranian proxies of Hezbollah had already been decimated. I recall the pager bombing, the pager war I will spoke extensively about 2 quarters ago, right, and the assassinations of the leaders of Hezbollah. Likewise, Hamas, had his leaders assassinated, alright, and the bombings, alright, and of course the Houthis, right when Trump came on board, he started bombing the Houthis. The Houthis were really causing issues in the Red Sea, and you had ships had to go around South Africa, Cape Coast, and go around the South Africa. You would not cross the rest because of the Houthis, and they had ballistic missiles. Imagine people of less than 100,000 people having ballistic missiles, and actually causing a nuisance on international maritime. And so when Trump came, started bombing them, and also got decimated. So you look at the decimation of uranium proxies. Okay, so they could not intervene on behalf of Iran. Okay, in targeting Israel during the 12-day war. I also look at Russia and China too, having their own bleeding to stop. Russia has its handful with Ukraine, and also look at Russia that is also fighting a similar war, that the militarization or the natification of Ukraine is essential. Is an essential threat to Russia, that Russia will not accept the militarization of Ukraine, having biolabs by the West, and Ukraine joining NATO, and later on having bases, putting missile systems in Ukraine, which is an essential threat since Russia was denied membership of NATO at the time. Vladimir Putin wanted to join NATO and was said no, and he was refused. Okay, so it means that for him, NATO is an Russian alliance. So if Ukraine has to join NATO, that's an existential threat to Russia. So Russia is fighting a similar war in Ukraine. So what moral ground will Russia have to intervene or tell you Israel not to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon? Talking about the realm of political idealism and political realism. Okay, because it's in the realm of political idealism, talking about sovereignty, that no one nation has the right to invade another, but there's political realism. Alright, if the United States decides to invade Nigeria today, what is going to play out? Alright, what will happen? What scenarios will play out? Which countries will come to our aid on our behalf? The worst case scenario is that the United States Security Council will be convened, okay, and there'll be condemnations, and there'll be pressure, there'll be sanctions, and so on, and the United States will try to justify its position. And okay, so if we don't have the might, Nigeria doesn't have the might militarily to resist an invasion, it will only depend on constitutional democracy in the United States, and hope and pray that a tyrant doesn't come up there and just goes power crazy and does something crazy in future. So there's that realm of political realism, okay, and there's political idealism. Alright, so Russia has invaded Ukraine, and no country has attacked Russia because I invaded Ukraine. Worst case scenario, they've supported Ukraine to defend itself. Alright, and try to sanction Russia. Pressure it into ensuring that it stops the terror. China too has its own economic and political uncertainties to deal with. So the timing is such that Iran is just has to face the war on its own. Okay, I also talk about Iran's relationship with Arab nations, his relationship with the Muslim world. It's always talking about the purification, no doubt, the Shiites, Muslim faction, so to speak, and Saudi Arabia is the leading Sunni nation. Okay, and Iran always talking about purification of Islam, and for some it's extremism. Alright, and we know there are the people here in Nigeria, although they have been sort of banned, and they usually insist on going on procession every year. And although I don't like how security agents massacre them, I don't like it, because Nigerian citizens, they are human beings, and human beings should be treated with dignity. Human lives should be precious and should not be wasted, and unnecessarily should not shed precious blood unnecessarily. So I don't like that. But if government says you can try and change the law. If you can't change the law, you need to obey the law. I don't believe in extremism. I don't believe them confronting security agents, and I believe that Iran funding them is a bad influence, and so I don't like that at all, right? And also talking about the sponsorship of Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Shia militias in Syria and Iraq. Okay, the chance of death to Israel, death to America, alright, and the attacks on military bases, installations, American military base installations over the years. So, and even when Putin was interviewed about the war and his own opinion, he talked about what they were involved in Iran at the time, that they proposed that they wanted to actually install systems, okay, but Iran limited them to a particular project, all right, and even the project that they implemented, they had to do that at enormous costs, just because the foundational structure necessary for their own technology was not present, and so then they had to re-engineer everything from beginning, and actually took them more time and more resources, but they delivered on that project and they left. And so I don't know, and right after US bombing of Fordo and Nathan and Isfahan, Iran's foreign minister actually went to Moscow right after, and boom, the escalation. I mean, what was he expecting? Was he expecting Moscow to say, "Oh, I'm going to fight US and Europe"? I mean, Russia is fighting a similar way in Ukraine and saying it's existential. I mean, so Omar Erdogan is going to tell so Iran has to go home and negotiate, and the ceasefire happened. And we recall that earlier Mr. Trump had Middle East tour going to Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and Syria. Okay, and even he was requested to lift the sanctions on Syria by the Arab leaders, and he obliged them, and even made the converts, the converted Syrian leader. He was from Al Qaeda, from a terrorist, and so he's actually being refurbished as now a reformed leader to put Syria right on them where it belongs, okay, and bringing all the groups together. But okay, let's see how things unfold in Syria. But practically what I'm pointing out is that Iran was effectively isolated before this 12-day war, and it was really a major factor in shaping the outcome of the 12-day war. Okay, and so quickly we talk about the Congo DR Rwanda peace deal, because it's a welcome development, especially on the African continent, and having peace in that area. And you know what Congo DR has actually faced due to the resources God has given to it, right from the days of the Portuguese right to the days of Belgium, King Leopold, and so on. So, and of course, the United States went home with the minerals deal. America first policy wasn't it for America, Trump's consistent with that. Alright, so the peace deal is also consistent with Trump's world peace agenda, achieving peace through strength. Okay, and you also recommended that a former U.S. Secretary General was serving at the time, lost his life while trying to secure a peace over the Congo, and his aircraft was mysteriously blown away in mid-air. So I have more questions than answers today. And talking about Mr. Trump's African summit of 5 leaders of Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal, saying these 5 countries represent the African continent. Okay, yes. So, quoting a White House government official, says President Trump believes that African countries offer incredible commercial opportunities which benefit both the American people and our African partners. End of quote. And Trump himself said the United States was, and I quote, shifting from aid to trade Okay, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else we could be doing together. And of course, and we must know that these invited countries, they have gold, they have oil, they have manganese, they have gas, they have wood, they have zircon. Gabon itself holds 25% of the non-global reserves of manganese, and also supply 22% of China's manganese. And look at Gabon's strategic location on the Gulf of Guinea, alright, which it also has Gabon has a coastline of about 800 kilometers, right? So it's a potential military base for the United States. We reckon so. We have to be projecting what's in it, what's going to be in for the United States, bringing Gabon to the table to represent Africa. And Liberia itself has talked about accepting third nation deportees from other nations, accepting them from the United States. Okay, recall that Nigerian president talked about not wanting to accept such, and maybe saying that, or maybe that was the reason why there's a reversal of a change in visa policy now, having non-migrant visa limited to single entry 3 months for Nigerians. And let's touch on the 17th APEC Summit 2025, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 6th and 7th July. Okay, and Trump's tariff hammer on the BRICS countries is not surprising. We talked about it about 2 quarters ago, and I said that while Biden actually watched, with BRICS getting stronger and stronger and working towards the dollarization, alright, because I hoping that the weaponization of the dollar by the Biden administration then was very, very wrong. That could be counterproductive, that to encourage countries to move towards de-dollarization policy. Okay, that will weaken the dollar and weaken the state's economy, as it were. And I felt that when Trump comes on board, that he will actually reverse that policy, and that's exactly what he's doing. Okay, and also doing it while waving the carrots, also waving the big stick. Okay, on BRICS countries. All right, and that Mr. Trump is also bent on isolating China and always courting Russia as a bit of a bride, trying to drive that wedge and ensuring that Russia and China are not together militarily. Okay, because I find that might be an essential threat to the United States. So, and I said that countries like Nigeria will want to play both sides, and the countries in Nigeria want to move towards digitalization, want to trade in local currency, or also want to implement BRICS policies and try to undermine the dominant West. That Mr. Trump is not going to sit idly by. That was my projection. I think that he's going to try and wield the big stick, and exactly that's what he's doing. Proposing tariffs on BRICS countries. Okay, and of course, look at the visa policy, the change visa policy for Nigeria. Okay, the reduction to a single entry 3 months visa, and so all this to ensure the dominant hegemony of the United States. And our significance, of course, is Mr. Xi's absence, Xi Jinping's absence, President Xi of China's absence. He was represented by his premier, Ali Crank, but even if you want to talk about Putin's absence, he's still joined by a video link, and I reckon that that's around for subsisting for his arrest by the International Criminal Court and Brazil, where the summit was held, his signatory, just as South Africa is a signatory. So, and for me, although I've heard commentators projecting different reasons for Xi's absence, trying to downplay the significance, but I believe that this is a centerpiece of this geopolitical platform, and is also the hallmark of China's geopolitical stature as a nation. So for him not attending, I think is something that was beyond his control, and I believe it's because of the political uncertainty back home, because apart from the economic issues, emanating from the housing crisis, the bankruptcy of Evergrande, the housing giants, and the rumors of BYD, electric vehicles down too coming in, and so you have the slowing down, and you have failures in contracts, and dipping stock prices of housing stocks, and that most pensioners have invested in housing stocks, having losing a lot of their investments. So you have slowing down, of the Chinese economy, factories closing, employment rising, and so on and so forth. So, and with these economic issues now being compounded by domestic political uncertainty, so, and you have the CCP moving from the single strong man of Xi Jinping back to collegiate leadership, and you have Web Jiabao, Yun Yetao, and Zhang Huxia, of course, charge of the military, and he has ensured military projects Xi's people in the PLA. So rather than Xi Jinping having sole power now, so you have four men sharing power. So, but Xi Jinping's power is actually diluted, and of course, I believe that the factors accounted for this, especially the October 2022 20th CCP Congress, where Jinjin Tao was somewhat forcefully escorted out, and right after Xi was given an endorsement for the third term. So I don't think that was in Jinjin Tao's interest, so I staged a comeback, so to speak. And of course, from our Premier Least death, mysterious death, some controversial death, with whistleblowers now coming out to say that President Xi is actually involved. I think it's really been a good introduction today. So let's draw the curtains at this juncture, and please do remember that at Amogate is ready to help and support your organizations to work optimally, creating frameworks and processes for optimization of resources and attainment of goals. You can contact us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram at Amogate. You can also visit our website at www.theamogate.org. Our email is contact@theamogate.org. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, Amogate Radio Communications. I hope that the time we've spent together has been rewarding, because from my own end, it's been a pleasure hosting you. Until I come up on your devices again, it's bye for now. God bless you and thank you.